chat. We also encourage that you actively engage with the presenter by asking question at the time when it's time to ask question. We hope that you'll be very precise so that you can be answered also precisely. Um, but we take every question that you raise very seriously, or every comment that you raise so seriously, because we know that it's important for how to improve this. We also request that you be respectful to your colleagues, and do not talk over another person, and we need to accommodate a different opinion. Here is a learning platform, so we have come to learn. Juba Strategic Consulting, we aim to enable access to high quality healthcare services for all in the country, irrespective of the social determinants. How do we do this? We do it through data analytics and translation of data to insights for our clients. We also optimize program and systems efficiency and effectiveness, and we provide a platform for local researchers like you to gain knowledge and research tools. So generally, these are the key thematic areas that we operate in: research and evaluations, health economics, health systems. We also design strategies and policy advisory. It's also about strengthening your health facilities or hospital infrastructure. We're happy to do that. And also we provide advisory on the local context. As I did say earlier, we are South Sudanese. We understand the context better than any other person else. In terms of where we are, we've been to nearly all parts of the country. At least when you go to Lake State, you'll find our research assistants or research managers based there. If you go to Warab, if you go to Awil, you go to Upper Nile, within Central Equatoria, and then Eastern Equatoria. We are all there. So in case you have anything you think we might be of support to you, please do feel free to reach out to us, and our local researcher will be able to support you at the earliest opportunity. To learn more about us, you can check us on our website and book an appointment. Just give us a call or write to us an email. We'll always respond. Text us on WhatsApp. Be specific. We appreciate your kindness when you're texting on your WhatsApp, but by saying hello, hi. But we also strongly encourage that you just go straight to the point. If you're asking about internship, if you're asking about opportunities, if you're asking about an advisory that we want to provide, we'll always be able to provide. Today, at the end of the training, we will share out this training link or the QR code, and this will be for two reasons. One, to get your honest feedback about the training, and then two, as you may be aware from our announcement, we want to be able to certify all those who joined the training today. And so this post-training survey will act as an attendance list. And so when we later share it out, we want you to record your name the way you want it to appear in your certificate. So kindly stay with us until the end when we launch this survey. As you may be aware, the next part of our training will be the electronic data collection, this same one, but the part two where we shall be diving deeper. You will qualify to get a certificate when you attend both part one and part two. So kindly look out. If you've already registered, thank you so much. We look forward to interacting with you next weekend. if you have not registered, kindly go back to our link is still open and kindly register. Today, um, Dr. Kenneth will be the one walking you through this session, and my colleague Ross and Isaiah will be listening in and will be providing support where necessary, and they will also be picking your hands and all that is. And we hope you'll enjoy the training. Over to you, Kemish.
Hello, I've just joined you. I came late a bit.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We are yet to start. Thank you for joining us today.
Sule, I've been losing internet sort of. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Super. All right, thanks. Thanks everyone for spending your weekend with us, bit of an hour or so. You want to spend it on something useful, and there's been a lot of requests from people who are interested in research and data. Let me know if you can hear me, so that
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
Mr. Kenneth, we are
Hear
getting
you
you.
and see you as well.
awesome.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes, you are
Okay.
clear. Yes, I am getting you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right, so yeah, there's been quite a lot of requests on the use of KoBo Toolbox to collect data. It does a few other things, but mainly collection of data. So we thought we could do this. We are going to do this in two phases. Today is going to be a very super starter pack, which is like the simple way of using KoBo. We can do the more advanced next week. So so that everyone, I know people may be at different stages of using KoBo. Others are advanced already, maybe others are starters if you have never used it before. Don't worry, we shall work together through this as a team. We shall go through the basics and all that. So no worries. I think we are 37. If you have any questions, given that the time is short, I'll try to be quick. Maybe you put it in the chat, I would say. Sule and Rose, you could help monitor any questions that may come as along, and then I can try and explain. Right, super. Let me share my screen. You can see. So let me know if you can see my screen. Wait.
Yes, I can see your screen. If you can put in presentation mode.
Okay. Presentation mode. I'll move back later from presentation mode because then we'll have to go back and forth some hands-on stuff. So this is the first training. Welcome to our weekend data camp. And for spending your weekend here instead of doing other things, but this is going to be useful. We sent out an email and requesting everyone to open a KoBo account. I hope you have done that so that we don't spend time on that. And I think Ross sent out an email asking everyone to do that. If you have done that, excellent. I'll not ask this question, so it's fine. So don't take time. So there are a few tools that are used to collect data, electronic data. And these are some examples. Every day there are new ones that are coming up. So you really pick and select based on your preferences, the cost implications, and sort of like the data that you're going to be collecting and which sector you're working in, right? So if you're working in a hospital setting, you want to collect the clinical data from patients, could be different. if you're working in public health more, you're implementing a wash activity or a community-based activity, sort of different, right? So depending on your project and your research questions or the program that you're running, and also the costs, you select which one you want. KoBo Toolbox is very simple to use, I would say. It has for the longest time been free and still, like, for most part is free. So people prefer it. And yeah, so today we are going to talk about it. But there are others there you have seen. I will not go through the names. So today, we are going to be tackling a bit of this, which is a sort of a brief description of KoBo and how do you create an account if you haven't done that. So introduction to some of its features, and we shall start building a project together in KoBo, a very simple one. And maybe talk about how do you then deploy it to start data collection, and how do you manage a project if you're collecting data, who should access it and all this. And next week, we can talk a bit some few advanced features, which is how do you build your project in KoBo but through the Excel form, not through the form builder. And some advanced validation functions and cascading. How do you pull sort of data from CSV, from another file into the system, and all that merging and whatnot, stuff like that. So some of those we just shall reserve for next week. So KoBo is open source, as we said, and that means you can there's a community of users, and you can be able to write your codes and freely write your codes, and that can be accessible. And it's free and it's very user-friendly in very rough environments, especially humanitarian settings. And probably that is why it has been used widely in the settings where we're working, especially like South Sudan, by NGOs and other actors. So it is easy to use, not very difficult, so we shall see. And it uses very small, like simple coding language to do that. You can actually use it on and offline if you don't have access to internet. Yeah, because it's electronic, so you require some sort of device to use it, whether a phone, a smartphone, or you can use your computer on a web, something. It has a pretty much very simple data visualization function as well, that you can see your data, but very basic. Some graphs, tables, and bar graphs and whatnot, stuff like that. So you can easily pull the data out into Excel or CSV. Also captures your like location where the data collection is taking place. Yeah, it is free. It has mostly been free. Now it's not free. So they also want to get money to run their program. So they charge now for professional one, but most cases there's still a free, which is free version. They give you up to like 1 GB storage capacity, which is very sufficient for most individual use, really. But they have like different tiers of accounts that you can get, professional, enterprise, company, or organization. Okay. I hope everyone has created an account. If not, I think because this is not going to be very theoretical, we are going to build something together. So I think if you have created an account, well and good. If you have not created an account, maybe this is a time you should work together and create an account. Is there anyone who has not created an account? I don't know if you can do the hand raise function in Zoom to just see if we should walk through this, or I skip. You can use that hand raise thing in Zoom where you can just like raise your hand and see if there are people. Okay, something in the chat. Sule, is there the chat where people have not don't have accounts so far?
Hello, yes, nice. No, I have not created. Okay. Yeah, colleagues, where you see on the bottom, you see like the heart sign. So you can put it on the chat if you have not created an account, so that, yeah. So there we are.
Okay. I'm sending the link here. So through this link, you should be able to, I didn't create an account. Okay. I hope you have, I don't know what you're joining. Most people are joining whether via, maybe easier if you're joining via your laptop. Go to this link and go to this link. And then you'll sign up. Yeah, it's like just a sign up there. Is a sign up. You just go to the sign up. So you'll have like this interface here. This is a global KoBo tool server. There are two options, sir. Yes. And then this. So I asked people to use this because I have in this, and then not in the European Union server. So this is essentially the same function. It's just where your data is located. So global toolbox, the data is hosted in the US, and this is the data is hosted in EU, Ireland, I think, and it's just depending on different organizations choose where their data is hosted, depending on their data privacy policies and compliance. EU organizations tend to comply with EU data policy, and other organizations comply like with the US and whatnot. So this is essentially the same, but the thing is, if you open in one, you cannot communicate with the others. So it's important that you open in the same server if you want to communicate with each other. So that's why we asked you to open using this global KoBo. Because if I want to let you join the project that we shall build together, then I can easily add you. All right. So, but depending on your organization, this is for the practice. If your organization is using EU, you may then open EU for use for your official organization use. Okay, so you just go and create just create, and then you fill up this info, email, username, the common things that we have been seeing if you've opened many accounts, then your password and create. As simple as that. I think they'll send you a verification email. You just verify that and you're ready to go. Right, so you are their languages, yeah, is provided in different languages. So for this case, I think our default is English, but
I don't
yeah,
see your screen. I don't see your screen.
you
Oh, you
don't
don't,
see.
you don't put.
Oh, let me reshare. Sorry for that. Gadlock, Jacob, I see your hands up.
Oh
No,
yes,
you
I
are
didn't
not.
I didn't
No,
lower
you
my
are not.
hand.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see your screen, Kemish.
Okay,
Colleagues from the audience, are you able to confirm if you can see Kemish's
No.
screen?
Yes, we can see now. Yes, we can see now.
Super. Okay.
Yes,
okay,
I'm seeing it clearly.
okay. Then yeah, so if you're here, just enter your full name, username. You can decide what your username should be, your email address, your country, organization, NGO, government, stuff like that. And then you have to agree to their policy, yeah, and then your password and create. Okay. Um,
Kemish, as you proceed,
What
there's
is
one
the
participant
skill?
asking if they can continue using their European option, whether he would still be able to access the module that you're walking them through today.
yeah. It's fine. Everything is the same. The only thing, if you want to join the project, but it's fine. Just use the account you have. No problem. We are going to walk
Okay,
through
so
the basics. It's fine.
So Rombek, you can continue using the European option that you created your initial account with. You won't miss anything.
Yeah. Okay. I already have an account. So if you have finished opening this, then you just log in. I have already an account, so I just log in. Okay. So let's pause there for now. We shall come back to that. So this is the details about opening the accounts, which we have already gone through. So once you have your account, then the next thing is you really would love to start creating your projects, right? So, and yes, I've created my account. Excellent. Then you log in and then you just click new project. Then they give you options how you want to create your project from scratch, or you already have a template, or you want to pull it from the Excel file, or yeah. So you can use different ways of creating your project in KoBo. And then once you do that, they'll ask you for a few information about the details about that project, because you then later, if you want to share or if you archive it, you can go back and, okay, if you have so many projects, this project was in a KoBo, for example, an integrated wash and nutrition project or something like that, right? So implement it between this time and this time. And then you can start creating your questions. So KoBo provides options of different types of questions. And for most of your projects, maybe let's say 85 to 90% of your projects, you are going to mostly use this sort of questions, really. Yeah, so note is not a question, but it gives you instructions or some guidance or some notes that you need to pay attention to. But then you have a question that allows for text, date, numbers like age, whatnot, decimal points, numbers with decimals. A question that allows you to select one option. Those one that allow you to do many options, yes and no. You can also actually have a geopoint coordinate, and their range, right? Like you're getting people experience and whatnot. There are others where you can rank, this question where you rank, maybe the most severe to the least severe, stuff like that. You can rank. You can do calculations in KoBo. You can geotrace a line if you're doing a road, something like that. You can audio, video. You can also do that and barcode. So additional to the question, as you build your tool, you want to put in some functions to sort of ensure quality and control for how you want the enumerators to complete the form later. So there are many questions. You can make question mandatory. Say this question is a must. That ensures that you don't have a lot of missing data points and whatnot. So you can make question that are mandatory. You can provide hints, some question that may not be clear. You can add some explanations there. You can group question together. There's skip logic. Not all questions may apply when you're collecting data. If you have collected data, you'll know some questions may not apply. And today with the basic and more advanced validation criteria. For example, you want age to be between 5 years to like 18. You can like restrict that so that nobody puts it outside there, those things. There are things that you want repeated if you want to collect data on multiple subjects, like you can do that. Calculations, you can actually do different languages. If you're collecting your data, say in English. Okay. Rejecting my username, please. Probably somebody already used your username. Maybe try different combinations. You can put a 1 or 2 at the end first. Try that. And it should be one word, right? Like with a dash or something. So different languages, and you can also like have some quality checks of like device ID and whatnot, the metadata. So those are some of the question categories and then the functions that helps you try and ensure that you get quality data as a researcher. So there are those. All right. Okay. So these are some of the when you then start adding your questions. This is the sort of the question types that are there, and you just choose whichever applies to you or whichever you want. So KoBo will not tell you this question should is a multi-choice question or a one answer question. So as a researcher, you first know what you want, right? So in the background there, you would have you would have you know your research methodology, you have designed your tools, and you know what you want to get. So you know that I want many answers for this. I want one answer for this. I want a text for this. I want a number, a decimal. So you should know this as a researcher first. And then you're going just to use KoBo as a mean of collecting what you want. So KoBo is not going to tell you this question of yours is the answer should be text. This question, the answer should be a number or a decimal. No, it doesn't tell you that. So you first have to do that thinking through what you want. So yeah, so that is the basics really of KoBo. And if you know that, then you're done. You just have to create your project and collect your data. So I think most of you maybe who have collected data before, this is an example of how fast you may design your form outside. So for KoBo, the best thing is that it's good to design your form outside first. You can use a Word document or you can use an Excel, and you design your form, how your question should be, and then you just come and use KoBo to enter and digitize it. That is the best approach. So for example, this is for DHS. For example, the form may look like this. Most of you might have seen. Then you can like transfer this to KoBo. So we are going to walk through some sort of example, but before that, if you have any, this is where we spend most of our time now. I think we have, okay. If there's any question, please let me know before we.
Yes, Benjamin, your hand has been up. If you have a question, please ask.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the explanation he gave on the additional languages in KoBo. Maybe could we come back later and then explain how additional language can be used in KoBo?
Yeah, we can do that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The practical bit of it. Yes, we can do that. But for the language, so you need to translate. So KoBo does not translate it for you. So if your form is designed in English and you say, well, let me enter it in KoBo and KoBo translate it to say Madi, you're collecting data in Madi. So it won't do that, right? So you need first to get your tool, get a translator. If you're the translator, you translate and do your quality checks of the translations. And then you will bring that translated version of the questions into KoBo. So something like that. But we shall look at how you can do that. But at the same point, like KoBo does not translate it for you, the questions. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Kemis,
Yes, yes.
maybe I have additional in relation to the use of the KoBo because at the moment we are doing this online course, I think, training, which is very important. I also request if there is a possibility of making some practical part of it, which is supposed to be face to face. You know, it's very important sometimes because in most cases, yeah, like using this tablet, or when you're setting it in your phone to use the KoBo, I think there are also procedures need to be guided through practical part of it. So currently, of course, this is a theory whereby you are showing us everything. That's how to can use KoBo. Once in a while, you know, because of a lot of things, some people may forget. But when you touch it practically, I think could be more, to be really put in practice.
Right. Thanks.
This is my request.
Okay, yes. So actually, the training that we do is practical, but I think before we go to the practical bit, it's good to understand sort of the small theory behind it. So we are going to spend the remaining minutes now until the end to walk through a tool, like how do you build out together. So I hope you have a computer or something that you can follow along. That's why we asked you to open an account, KoBo account, so that we build together. So you build as like work together. So as we walk through here, you can also do it from your side. So face to face for now, we do not have the capacity to do face to face. But thank you for that suggestion. So at the moment, that's why also we do it on the weekend as well to like accommodate a lot of colleagues who are working during weekdays, and we can use like the first morning of Saturday before you go away for your 1-1 for the road, or you're going for, so we want to use the morning to, yeah, invest it in data. Those who love data research, you want to build your capacity as a group. Yeah. So I think yeah, that is noted. I think the capacity cannot accommodate bringing everybody together logistically is very hard. The good thing with this, people can join from any state in the country, whether you in Upper Nile, in Jongole, or Warab, you are able to join in this. If you have to bring people together, it becomes very difficult to, yeah, it's only like benefit people within that location if you do it in Juba, for example, right? So. Yes, Benjamin. Yes.
Sorry, I just need to comment on the issue raised by my colleague. Is it possible if maybe there's need to train someone and then this person comes to Juba, how long do you think this practical training can take for you to train this person? Is it going to be 1 week, 2 weeks practical training?
Right. Good question. I think knowledge, giving knowledge and absorbing knowledge is individualistic, so it depends on a lot of factors, Benjamin. So I would think we could have that bilateral discussions and get more specifics. Like, yeah, is that the beginner, super beginner, or somebody already like familiar with data collection, even not using KoBo, maybe other electronic softwares and whatnot? Then we can customize, really, we can really customize to that. So thank you for that, but I think you can reach out to us more bilaterally. Sule, you can put your email address or something, and then like Benjamin can reach out. You can have more
Yeah,
discussion.
and also I want to add that Benjamin, you look out for our post-training survey, and then you share that feedback there. We'll be able to capture and reach out individually. Thank you.
Okay.
Super. Okay, so I think now, I think I'm still sharing. Okay. I want us
Yes, you're
to.
still sharing. I can see your screen.
Okay. So for example, you may be an M&E person or even a program manager, or who you're implementing your activities, say in one county, many counties in South Sudan, and say, for example, maybe this is your project in a KoBo County household survey. You want to do an household survey for either to establish your baseline, or you want to do a midline or an endline, and you want to do household survey, right? And you have gone through all your design questions and objectives and methodology. Now you want to develop, you have thought through your tools and the questions. Now you want to have the how. What are you going to use to collect your data? Are you going to use paper-based? And you decided, well, I'm going to use KoBo, right? So then once you decide you want to use KoBo to collect your data, you need then to build your project question, the tool, and transfer it into KoBo, so you can be able to collect your data. So this may be an example of what you want to look at, and let's walk through, and then how do you transfer this into KoBo? That is our task for now. So this project would you would maybe start with instruction to enumerators. You're going to hire enumerators from a KoBo, would then go out from house to house, like asking questions and collecting data. So you say that this household survey must be answered by the head of the household or a designate. So somebody who is designated to be the head of the household in case the head of the household is not available. So this will be an instruction to the enumerators that you have trained and you have deployed to collect your data, right? And if you're a student doing your thesis and whatnot, maybe yourself, you're also the data collector. Maybe this is not relevant for you because you already know what you're looking for. Then, of course, you're going to do consent. So you'll have like the name of the numerator and then the consent statement, and then you ask them whether they want to agree or not to continue with the interview, yes or no, right? So, and then you have your sections, and then maybe you go to demographics, respondent demographics, which state are they, which county, you are giving household ID, for example. Then you want to take the name of the respondent, the person answering the questionnaire, their age, their sex, then it goes to household information. You want to know how many females are in the household, how many males are in the household. You want to know what are the water sources, the main two water sources that they use. There you can say, if you already know, so there are two ways, like you could, when you're collecting data, you can say, what are the two water sources that you use? And then leave it blank, and then they be able to mention like, oh, we use this and that. But sometimes for quality purposes, you would say mention most of the common water sources and on a list and say choose from there. And you can then give an option of other if there is anything that you have not mentioned. So this sort of way of designing your tool ensures that you, first of all, have picked everything, but also secondly is to ensure uniformity, right? So because people may write piped water in different ways, it becomes very difficult when you're doing data cleaning analysis. So for those who have experienced this, they'll know. But yeah, when you do like this, you know, it is the same. You're just going to choose from there. Then you specify. Then you may ask the access to latrine, yes or no. And if they say yes, what type of latrine, for example. And then you may be interested because this is a wash and a nutrition integrated program. You want to look at what is the status of children under 5 in the households. So you may want to get some information on under 5 nutrition status, their name, sex, age, so that you can be able to calculate sort of like the wasting rate or the stunting or whatever parameters you're interested in. You do that. Here you may want to collect for all the under 5s. So one household may have more than one under 5 child, maybe 2 or 3. So how do you do that? So that sort of thing. So then you may want to collect some assets, information on assets. How many people are working, for example, and how do they spend their income, expenditures? Is it in school? Which one takes more money? Is it school or water or food? And then how much do they spend in each of these categories per month, for example, if you want to interested in this. And do they have any animals, right? So, and what kind of animals do they have? What are the values of those current animals in the market, for example? You want to see, the wealth quantiles you want to calculate later or something of sort. Then you want to locate where this household is located for different reasons. So maybe you want to create a graph and see the distribution of the household, the project side beneficiaries, or you want to use it for quality checks, right? So this may be you have designed this in a Word format, then you want to enter it. So how do you do that in KoBo? So let's go back to this. Then how do we enter this? So the first one is the instruction. So once you open your KoBo, okay, you may, if it is for the first time, you may not have projects. I have had many other projects already, but yours may be blank. If you have opened it for the first time, I hope you're all there. If you're not, can you go to that? You can go to your accounts. Okay. If everybody is there, I hope everybody is there, has opened their account. Yeah, and then we can start.
I'm not yet open mine.
Come again?
Not yet open my account. Huh? I came late.
Okay.
We shall go through it first, then the account will be open, no problem. Follow the same procedures you're telling.
Okay, super. Yeah, in the meantime, if you want, I think Rose shared the link to open an account. You can do that as well, no problem. But okay, so you go to new, as you said, and then you will decide. For today, we are going to build it from scratch. That means we use the form builder online. So we do this, but if you, maybe next week we can see how do we import from Excel as form. That means you build your tool outside and then you can bring it into KoBo. Okay, so as we said earlier, you'll enter the project name. This is, okay, we can data camp, for example. Today is what, May 3rd. Okay. And then you can add your description. This is a demo. You can, if this is, or you can say, if this is a project, you say this is a baseline assessment for multi-sectoral project. Okay, excuse my typing. In a KoBo, for example. And then this is going to be nutrition and wash, but they, I think, rarely have mix. So you see the sectors here, education, blah, 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 nutrition. So here, maybe you can decide which one you can say nutrition. And this is a SSD. Okay, so that's done. Then you create your project. Okay. So once you have done that, like you have given information, you can still leave your title as change. You can still change it from here, right? So yeah, if you have done any mistake, okay, you can correct it there. Okay, so this is our project now. No questions. It's an open project. So now we want to start adding our questions. So, but the first one, you want to add an instruction. So you can write it or just copy. For my case, I'll copy in embedded writing. And then you write your question there or you copy and paste. So then you come to this, it will bring you this icon at right, which is add question. So you click on that. So from after clicking on that, you then decide, you would already know that this is a text, a question that requires the input as a text, a question that requires the input as a number, if it is age, a question that requires multiple answers or one answers, or it is a geo point. But this is, you said this is an instruction, so this is not a question. So if it is not a question, instruction, there's this thing called a note. KoBo is using it, they have decided to give the name a note. That means this is not a question, it's going to be displayed as a note for you to read. So this is a note, so you will just say note. Then the second sort of sector is the section, is the consent section. So, and in the consent, we have, you want to get the name of the enumerator. So name of the enumerator, who is the name, the enumerator? So you say name of the enumerator. So this is going to be a text. They're going to type their names. Yeah. So, okay. So that is one. And then the next one is you want to have a section where the enumerator reads the consent to the participant, the head of the household. Okay, so you can write this as another section. So you just click on this plus. To add any question, you just click on the plus. You click on this and just you write your consent here. In this case, I've just copied, I'll just add it there. So my name is, so in this case, because if you have 10 enumerators, if you put gems, not everybody will be called gems. You may want to say this point, the name should reflect whichever is collecting the data. So if they say gems here, then what appears here is gems. That means you try and pull that sort of what the answer in the previous question is to that question. So it can pull it there. So this is piping. You can pipe it up there. So to do that, that is one function that KoBo has. So you can then pull something there. How do you do that? I'll show you in a short while. But before that, you want to add whether this is a question or a note. This is an instruction so that they're going to read. So it's going to be another note, right? So for when you collect data, you will notice that in an Excel form, just imagine you have a data set, for example. You'll notice that you have variables, right? You have variables on the columns, for example, and each variable has a name. Maybe you say this is the age, this is the sex, or this is the amount they spend per month. Those are variables, and under that, below that variables, then you have the figures, which are the data points. So in KoBo, what you write here, what appears outside here is not going to come into the data like this. So what is going to come into the data when you are exporting it is actually the column name. It is in the back end of what you're seeing here. So how do you see that? You go to this settings icon. If you come, you click on any one question, you just browse on any one question here icon, you see, it's saying icon there, settings. This is delete. If you want to delete the question, you delete using this icon. If you want to duplicate this same question, you can duplicate here, all right? And if you want to build a library, that next time you just pull from your library, you can do it there. So when you click on these settings, there are some settings in the back end of that in KoBo. So this back end defines a lot of parameters into your data. And one of it is this, what is called a data column name. So the data column name is what then will come into your Excel data sets when you export it. So then the column will be called name of enumerator. With that, you see that it is a one word, right? And you can be able to change this the way you want, but everything should be one word. So instead of saying name of enumerator, you may just say enumerator, right? So then when you later on export your data in the Excel, that column is going to be called enumerator, which is simple. So usually the shorter the column name is, the better. It's very good for your management of your data later on. Okay. So if you now want to pull anything to here to say, well, if the enumerator is called James, you just want this thing to read, this sentence to read, hello, my name is James. I'm working with this and this organization, and I'm today conducting this household survey. So what you do here is KoBo has this simple function where you pull it using a dollar sign in your computer. You just type the dollar sign, and then you put the name of the column where you want to pull the information from in curly brackets, right? So let's try that. So if you do the dollar sign, okay, then open curly brackets. Can you see? You can see, right?
Yes, I can. We can see. Colleagues,
Yeah,
confirm if
yeah.
you can see.
We can
Okay.
see, when the link can be seen.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
I do.
So then open dollar sign, open curly bracket, then you pull this column name. This is what KoBo will recognize as the data coming from here, not this other name. So you pull this column name here, you go back to the back end, and then pull this column name, whichever name is written here. Just pull that, copy that, and bring it here. And then you close curly brackets. Now, when you put any name here, it will appear here, right? Um, so every time you start building your form, you need to save after maybe 2 or 3, or every time you add another question, you save, because if anything happens that you have not saved, then you have to go from scratch. All right. So it doesn't automatically save like Word or what Word does for you or Excel. So you have to manually save every time you add a question, so that if your power goes or whatnot, you don't lose the information. It's very disappointing if you build everything and then boom, it goes, right? So you have to start from scratch. Okay.
Just one point for me. Could you repeat the issue with the dollar sign? Because I was typing the other side and then you are explaining, so I could not pick it.
Okay. So yeah, so there are several functions as we saw earlier, that the function that KoBo
Yeah.
provides to make data collection very easy. One of them is that you can pull information from a previous question, the entry from a previous question. So
Okay.
one example is if you have a question that, like for example, this consent form where you're saying, hello, my name is so and so. Because sometimes this is a very good design of consent form where you introduce yourself first, and then you talk about the study or the research that you're doing, and then you ask them whether they want to participate. So in this case, you're going to be using maybe multiple, if it is one data collector, you can just write the name of that data collector enumerator at once. But if there's so many, then you have to be very dynamic. That means it has to change based on the data collector, right? So in this case, KoBo has provided this function of using $sign and then in a curly brackets. So whatever is in that bracket should be what you want to appear there. And in this case, it is this, you want the answer to this question, the previous question, to appear there. So that means the name that that person will enter here should appear here. So that means my name is, if the enumerator is James, James will appear. If it is Peter, Peter will appear. If it is Rose, Rose will appear, right? Stuff like that. So to do that, this is the function for any question that you want to pull. So it is not only for the consent. Later on, when you see you want to pull an age of a child, you want to pull anything, this is what you use. So this enumerator, whatever comes in under there is in the back end of that question. So it is not what appears here. So you go to the back end and see whatever it is in this data column name section. So you pull that and put it there, right? And then you save your thing. So let's just see what you can always preview as you build your tool. So you don't need to like do everything and then see later. So every time you add a new question you want to see if it works, then you can preview here using this icon. So let's preview what we have built and see. Okay, so this is our data weekend data camp, as we say, the name of the project, and then the instruction is here. The instruction has appeared, okay, which is good. And then we have this first question, which asks for the name of the enumerator. So let's say James. Okay, before we say James, you see here is that hello, my name in the consent. Hello, my name is, there's nothing here, right? So the name is not appearing now because nothing has been entered here. But once you enter James, James now comes here, right? So my name is James, like that. So you can use this in many formats, not only for consent. If it is Paul, it changes to Paul. So it is very dynamic now. Okay, so you can change like that. Okay, so that is for that. And then your consent, then you need, of course, for the consent, if you have read to them the consent statement and what the project is, they have to agree whether they want to participate in your study or not. So you may want to add that there as well in KoBo, that which is a question. Do you agree to continue with the interview? So this, you want one answer, whether they say yes or they say no. So this, you select one. This is for one answer correct, or not correct, like choose one. So you do that, and then it is either a no, they say no, I don't want to participate, or yes, I want to participate. Okay. So let's leave this for now. We can come to this. You see these two automatic. We can leave it for now. But this is essentially what then two questions. So this one, they'll choose one. So let's see if it is there. Yeah, it's there. Do you want to continue? Then you can either select person that says yes or no. So if you select this, you cannot select that. So it's not a two. You're going to select multiple. Okay. So it looks like from our design of the tool, this part is all under this section called consent. So you may want to just say, okay, let me group everything here under this group called consent statement or something like that, right? Consent section. So how do you group things? You can then like select whichever you want to group. So it is this name of the numerator plus the statement for that, and then whether or not they want to participate. This group of questions is called the consent section. So then you come here, you select them first. You select all the whatever you want to group together. So you select the name, you control in on your keyboard, and then you select this one, and then you select this one. So you see the blue selection, so that means selected. Shows you this blue line around them. They're all selected. Then you come to this one. This is preview. This is expand and collapse, and this is group. So you click on this group. You group these questions.
It commits there is some inquiries.
Yeah.
It's about hint. I've seen some hint there. How do you put hint on it?
Okay. Yeah, that will come. Thank you for that. Yes, we shall do that. We shall, yeah, talk about that. So this group is called consent section. This is section. Okay. It's consent section. Okay. You can collapse so that you don't have a lot of things. You can collapse. Okay. Then the next section is now starting to be the state, county ID, the same way. So you just come here, there's this blue icon that will come, you add, and then the state. Oops. So the state here, it depends on what you really want as a researcher. So you may want, okay, let them enter the name of the state, the enumerators themselves. But that puts you at a higher risk of having errors, right? So I may accidentally is in, if it's a KoBo, that is in Jongole, it may put Central Equatoria State, all right? Or Warab, for example. So if you want to control for that, you may want to list everything down. And then they select one. So if you want them to enter, then that means you have to do a text here. That means they enter the name. And sometimes they write it with an I or they write it with an E, which later on, whatever software you'll be using to analyze your data will look at this very differently. Jongle with an I is different from Jongle with an E, for example, to all data analysis softwares, right? So you may want to be.
There's something I want to confirm, Kenneth.
Yeah.
I've seen a text there, and I've also seen note. What could be the difference between the text and the note?
The note, the note is the text is, let's say I do text now. The text is you're going to enter your name if you're collecting data, right? So let me just preview for you and let you know. So this was a text. The instruction here was a text. I mean, a note. I mean, the instruction here was a note. So this is just, there's nowhere, it's not asking you anything to input any data. But the name of a numerator was a text. So that means it's asking the data collector to enter something here. So, but for a note, you don't enter, it's like an instruction. You're just saying, okay, this instruction, like ask this question to the head of the house.
Thank you. It's understood now.
Super. Okay. What did I do? So you want to do state. So here it's good to do where they choose one. So you may do Jongle maybe you're in many, you're doing your projects in many states. You want to do Eastern Equatoria State, okay. Your Central Equatoria State, Northern Baragazal, for example, right? So then here, when they reach to here, they just select whichever they are in, they're collecting data in. Then here you have your county. Okay, then you do the same thing, right? So you put your counties here. Juba is one of the counties in Central. Wait, we have Central Equatoria, yes. You have maybe Juba, you have Akobo, right? Okay, so you list your counties where you're working, then they just be able to select. That's where yeah. So that is it. And then the next is the household ID. Your program, maybe you have listed all the participants and in your project, for example, and they have sorts of IDs, or you have designed your IDs for them. Then depending on how your IDs are in simple format, you can say number. Maybe this is household number 10, household number 20, right? Okay. And then you want to know the name of the respondent. So name here, as was asked earlier, name here of respondent would be what? What would we put here as the name of the respondent? Is it a select one? Is it a select many? Is it a text? Is it a number? Is it a decimal? Is it a date? What is the name?
Text.
Text. Excellent. Yeah, so the name is a text. And then what about age of respondent?
The number.
Number, yeah.
Age is a number, right? What about sex of respondent?
Text.
Sex of respondent text. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or some people say no. Number or
Text.
It is
text?
text,
Select
yes.
one. Can we select one or text?
Can we select
Yeah.
one or yes? Can we select one or text? But I
Yeah.
think some things yeah, as I said earlier, you want to control for the quality. So for things like
Select
sex,
one then.
yeah, you may just say select one. You list, right? Depending on your sort of project as well. But in most cases, people list the sex unless you're doing gender. But here you may say male, female, right? Don't want maybe to go into other complicated groups, but like, yeah. So like male, female.
Just a question, Kamis. This is Rombek.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to take us a bit one step back. How then does the enumerator choose whether it is a will or that? Where I didn't pick that part because they are already pre-listed, and how does the person choose thereafter
Okay,
within
maybe
the software? Yeah.
let's preview. So this is how it will appear. When you preview is how it will appear when you're collecting data. So when we come here, then we'll say state. Then here, because you have designed a question to select one, so the tool will only allow you to select one. So
Oh,
if
okay.
this is Jongole, only select Jongole. If you say Eastern Equatoria, it unselects the other ones, right? So you only select one, right?
Oh, okay.
So next week we shall probably do another where if you want to select Jongole and then only the counties in Jongole would appear. Like this is the basics for now, just to know, right? So then you can enter your ID and then the name and then yeah, this is the number, this is the text, stuff like that. This is how it will appear, right? Okay. Sule, maybe over to you. I think if people are still wanting to go, but yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Kemish. I was saying it is really getting interesting. But colleagues, thank you very much for staying on. We do request you to stay on a bit so that we can conclude this session, and feel free to text your family and really let them know that if they could give you some few more minutes so that we could conclude this, we really appreciate. Back to you,
Thank you.
Kemish.
Okay, thanks. All right, so the next section, so you can still also, this section, you can then group them, right? So this section will be the household demographics. So you can group them as the demo group, right? So, and then you can, your next section is like this. How many females are in the household? You may want to know that, and then how many males, right? So you could then, you add another one, how many females in the household? This is going to be a number. And then how many males are in the household? Another number. And then how many males in the household? Okay, this is another number. So why I wanted to show this is that also you may want to don't know if you add the number of males and female, you should be able to get the total number of household members, right? So you can then do what is called calculations if you want in this, and do you want to say, as they are collecting the data, you may want to confirm. So you have 10 members in the household, because then male and female should add up to the total number of household if you want to just check. So in this case, you may want to do a calculation, like a calculated fill, to add this together. You want to add the number here plus the number here to show. So this is what a calculated fill would be. So you then add here is a calculated fill is also the same. The way we say that if you want to pull the answer to this, what did we say? We will do a $sign and then curly bracket and put whatever appears in the name of the column there. So that means if we want to add this and this, we bring the answer here plus the answer here, right? So you just add. It's a simple addition, but you put them in using the language of KoBo, which is using the $sign and the curly brackets. So I bring one more. So
yes, I. Those who want to go, they have to give us another 1 hour.
So you can do calculations. So if there are many instances where you want to double check whether the numbers they're giving you is correct. So I've given this example of asking the number of household members. But in your analysis later, you want to have separate number of females to male. But at the end of the day, you also want to have the overall number of household members. So you may just do it instead of saying how many total number of household do you have, then how many are males, how many are females. You can just do how many females, how many males. And then in the back end, you can just do a calculation, right? Instead of having 3 questions, you have squeezed it into 2. And then you can have a calculations of, if you add male and female, then you get the total number of the household. You just want to use that as a sort of a check that they are giving you the right numbers. Because maybe they have forgotten about another son who has not been home for long or something like that. So you then ask first the number, then they give you the number and the number. Then you can you add a section where then it calculates those 2 numbers together to have the total number of household members. How do you do that? There's a function called calculation. You do a calculation, simple arithmetics that it provides. You can do division and whatnot, but this is show you the addition one. So to do that, you'll add this, which is taking this column name. Last time we said if you want to do anything about this question, you have to pull it using the sort of like the column name. The column name, it defines the answer in this question. So in that case, you do what is called a calculation. So to calculate that, you bring the column name here. Maybe we can just say this is female instead of saying a long word, female. This column name is called female. So we then pick the female, bring it here. So, but to pull that out, you need to do a $sign first. And then you do an open curly brackets. Then you put the column name and then you close the brackets, right? So now you have pulled the number from the answer, whichever answer is going to be here in the number of females. Here is going to come here. Then you want to add this to the number of males. So you just do an addition sign, right? and then do the same thing like you did here, right? But now in this case, you want to pull the number from the male aspect, which is here. So in this is a long one, you may want to change it to male, and then whatever appears here is male, so comes here, right? That. So now this is a calculated field that is going to pick the number from the female answer and the male answer, and will give you what the total is. So you come to this question. Okay, what will this be? Is this a number? Is it a text? Is it a what? But this is going to be a calculation. So KoBo has a specific question type for calculation, which is here, this one. So you choose this one. Okay. So calculations will be in the background. It won't show let me show you. It won't show when you launch deploy. So you see here you have how many females and how many males. But the question, that question we added of calculation is not appearing. It doesn't appear, it is in the background. You can see it when you export your data. But you may want the enumerators to be able to see it. So if you want the enumerators to be able to see it, what you need to add is a statement. That means a note. A note that would pull whatever you get here. All right. So you may say, that means you have dash household, like people in the household, like, right? So you want to leave a space here, people in your household. What do you want to pull here? You want to pull the number that is calculated here. All right. So that it gives you a statement. That means you have 10 people in the household, right? Then you say, yeah, yes. And okay, then you confirm that's great. Then you move to the next question. So how do you do this? It's the same thing. We said to pull anything from my previous answer, you just used the dollar sign. Oops, sorry. You use the dollar sign and you pipe in the name. So if we do that, you pull it here. And then you close your curly brackets. But what is here in this answer? What is calculation? The column name here is calculation. So I mean you bring here the calculation inside this curly brackets. And this is going to be your simple note. All right. Let's see what appears. So this, all right. So now we have here, that means you have.
Hello. Có gì chứ? Lạc tuyên hẳn bên mà. Là nó cái đằng cái này là câu ba.
Can you mute? Okay, super. So yeah, so that means here, if you have, say, we have 3 females and 4 females and 3 males, we should have 7 members. So if it will show you, that means you have 7 people in your household, then the numerator will be able to confirm and you move. So it's like a just quick check as they walk through the data collection. Okay. The next is this question of you may want to collect the sources of water. What are the main?
I have some question. I just want to inquire something. It's about conditional statement. I've seen something like a scripting engine. So that does it mean that the KoBo tool uses a script? Because I've seen like dollar sign plus some bracket, you put something to consider it as a calculation. So what if you are putting some conditional statement? Do you also use the same script to write conditional statement in it? Maybe if something is yes, then you do some other stuff. If it is no, there's no need for you to do some other stuff. Can it be implemented in this script?
No, so they have different parameters, what you use to do validation. So for this one, yes, you do this. This is for calculation. And to pull, this is piping where you pipe, and for calculation, you just use those and then put the sign of whichever arithmetic sign you want to use. If you do want to validation, depends on what type of validation you want to do, but they are different. We shall look at those as well. Yeah. Okay, so
Okay, thanks.
all right. So if you want to check, like you want to collect types of water sources, and in this case, you will say, well, you want just to have the two main ones. People may be using different sources of water, but you want the top two. Then your question will be, what are the two main sources of water? Then you want to maintain, as we say, it is good to list them out than leave it open to people enter in text. You may want to say, okay, select many. Anything more than one is many. So here you will say borehole, for example. Then you may say tap water, surface water or rainwater. Well, maybe that. Okay. So you have these four options. This is just for example. So you want them to select two, but they can select more than two because you have select the many. When you just leave it many, that means they can select even all the options, right? But if you want to limit out of the many, they select a specific number, two or three, which is still many, but not open to them to select whichever number they want. You can you sort of like restrict how many they select. So in that case, if for example, you want them to only select two, let me just show you the. So this is good. So in this case, they can be able to select many. That means they can select, oh, I'm using borehole. We use tap water. We use rainwater. We use well as well. But this may be, in some cases, you're sort of question when you're collecting data, you want to look at the main impact or the main source of something. So you don't want all to list all everything, but you want like what are the main things that you're using or do you access? So you in this case you want to limit this question to only the top two. So how do you do that? You have to do some sort of validation. This is one of the validations. It's like you want to limit the answers to a specific number of answers that they can provide. So you come to, okay, you come to settings. So to do any validation, you come to these settings in the back end. In the back end, there are many things. One of them was this question option, where it provides some parameters for the question. We shall come to it, but one of it is mandatory, making it mandatory or not mandatory. We already seen that. The second one is skip logic. We haven't seen that yet. We will go to that. The third one is this validation criteria. If you click on it, it gives you sort of a validation column. So in this case, you'll be able to enter your validation parameters, like what you want. So here we want that the answer to this question. So KoBo, if you want to say this question, KoBo, they use a dash. I mean a full stop. So this question should the answers to this question should be less than 2. So you want to do a count. A count for this question, if you select this question, should be, so this is how it does it. So the selected answers to this question should be less than 2, or in this case, we want less than or equal to 2. So if they're using less than 2, which means 1, they can select 1. If they're using 2, you can select 2, but not more than 2. So if you want up to 3, you can just change this. You want the answers to be up to 3, but not more than 3, something like that. But if you don't do this, that means they can select all the options you are provided because it is a multiple. So that is one sort of option if you want to restrict the multiple selection to a specific number. Okay. We shall see that, but let's first go. And then Okay, one other option that you can add here, which I did not show you, is for this question. You can say other, because it's very important. Usually, maybe you can like name all the options available. You can say other here. Then that means they can select. If there's something that you have not mentioned that they still use, maybe they're using, let me say, from a pump, right? Manual pump. Then they can say other. In this case, you can then add another question and say if other, specify. I know you have seen a lot of this sort of question. If other, specify. So this is going to be, they're going to write now because this is beyond your lists. You want them to write whichever other options that they're using. So specify. This is going to be a text. There. So for this question to only appear when they choose that they're using other option. Because if they have not chosen that they're using other option, there's no need to answer this question. So this question is designed for this household that is using another source of water that you have not mentioned here. All right. So this is where some sort of a skip logic would come. That means you want to skip this question. It's not useful if I only use borehole. I don't use other. I don't need to answer this question, right? So this is a skip logic. So this skip logic would be dependent on the answer to this question. So how do you do skip logic? How do you add skip logic? So you come to this setting, as we've seen. It is here. So if you come to the setting, the second option on the left is the skip logic. If you click on that, there are two ways you can enter skip logic. The simple one is this. Shall see the other one. But the simple one is this question will only be displayed in the following if the following conditions apply. What are the conditions? You can select from here. The conditions will only, if this condition apply, is that if the source of water, if the household says their source of water is other. So you want that if the household says their source of water is other, this question will appear. Other than that, otherwise they wouldn't appear. So that is a skip logic. So let's see what we have done. Okay. So you select borehole, for example, select tap water, select well, select rainwater. Okay, we have limited our question to select 3. So we cannot select more than 3 in the validation earlier. We said we select up to 3. You can add a message when that appears. You're saying you cannot select more than 3 options. Okay, so now when the data collectors are doing the data collection and they do select more than 3, it gives them that option, like the instruction that you cannot select more than 3, then they have to go back. But if it is tap water, borehole tap water, and then there's another source, this household selects another source, this question will appear. It doesn't appear here because other was not selected, right? So that is like how you do skip logic. Okay, super. I think this is the same skip logic as well. Do you have access to latrine? Is a yes or a no. I have access to latrine. So here is what type of latrine does your household use? So this question 11 would be dependent on question 10, isn't it? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, it's correct.
It's correct.
Yeah, in most setting, I think they're using the feed latrine, I think.
Okay.
We will select up there.
Yes. So the next question is, do you have access to pit latrine? So you want to ask this question, do you have access to pit latrine? You want to select one. Either they say, no, we don't have, or yes, we do have. Then you're also interested in knowing what type, okay, do you have access to latrine? Yeah. what type do they have? So you want to say what type they have. So here you also want maybe to spit, latrine, flush, toilet, or they want the power flush, stuff like that, or other. Okay. So for this question to appear, this question should first be a yes. If they say, we don't have a pit latrine, there's no need to ask them which type of, they don't have a latrine. There's no need to ask them which type of latrine, right? It doesn't make sense. So that means this question here should be dependent on this. That means if the question here is no, there's no need to answer this. That means you skip. So the question that need to be skipped is the one that you set, right? So in this case, this question needs to be skipped if this answer is no. So then you go to the settings, as we said, under this question of what type. You go to the settings and you go to skip logic. You can add, then you come to which question is dependent on this question, which is, do you have access to latrine? If this answer is a no, this question should be skipped. So this question will only be displayed if the following condition applies. So it will only be displayed if yes applies. So you only read here, this question will only be displayed if the following conditions apply. So that means if do you have pit latrine is a yes, it will be displayed. Other than that, it won't be displayed. Okay, super. Is that clear or I want to show you how to do a roster, the next one, which is the third section C, is you want them to take parameters of children under 5 in the household. Okay, so you may give an instruction to the enumerator that lists all under 5 children and their anthropometric measurements in the household. Okay, then you can come here, you write the list. This is not a question, this is going to be an instruction to the data collector. So that it becomes a note. What do you want to collect?
Kamis,
Yes.
Kamis, I have something. Is it possible to use pictures instead of a question on this questionnaire?
You instead of to show pictures.
Like, yeah.
Yes, it's possible.
So how can it be done?
This is a bit advanced. We shall do that. It takes a bit of time. We shall do that next week, if that's okay with you.
Okay, then it's all right. I'll wait for it.
Super. So if you want to collect data for for children, so this we want to get the name, sex, age, mark, weight, and height. So we'll say name. We already said your instruction. Name is going to be age is going to be a number. What else? Sex. Sex will be select one, as we saw earlier, male, female. Then you want to take the mark, the mid upper arm, circumference. This is going to be not a number. It's going to be
What is mark?
mid when you're measuring your mid upper arm is the nutrition thing. Sorry.
Okay.
It's like measuring some body part is the arm.
Can I make it decimal?
So this is going to be a decimal. Yeah. Yeah. Because it may be like 11.2, 12.1, stuff like that.
Yes.
And then you want, this is also going to be a decimal, not a number.
Why not?
And then
Why not a point?
height is also going to be. So you're saying why not a point? So point here means you're taking coordinates according to KoBo, right? Yeah, this is how KoBo has designed their tool. So point means you're taking coordinates.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Super. Okay, so you want this is the list of parameters you want to collect for the children in the household. So let me just show you one thing. So if you go to data collection now, you'll see here it's like list all under 5. You'll have the name, the age, the sex, mark, weight, and that. So if you have a next question, you'll be able to continue to the next questions. But there are cases where you have more than one child. What do you do, right? More than one under 5 child. So you need to collect all, if you have 5 children under 5 or 4, you need to collect all their measurements. So this is where you want this question to repeat. So, right? So if you collect for one child, you want to collect for the next one, you want to collect for the next one until you collect for all the 5. In this case now, the way we have designed it now, you only collect for one and then you move to the next question. Let me show you. So then, because if you add this, it's like how many working adults are in your household? This is the next question after the child. I just want to show you. How many working adults in your household? So this is going to be a number. So if you fill this under 5 details here, and from name to height, it goes to the next question. So you only be able to enter one. So the way to do that is that you have to group the question together and create them what is called a roster. That means you are going to be adding the number of data collection points for that how many children are in the household. So if there are 10 children, you will be able to repeat it 10 times. Or if there are 5, you'll be able to repeat it 5 times. So you first have to group that set of questions together. In this case, it is this part, which is section C, right? Section C is this part where you want to collect the details about under 5 children in the household. So how do you do it? So to group them, you have to select the question first, which is from this. This is the one, this from name. This is the question actually. This is the instruction. You don't group the instruction. So this plus the age, you control and then select age, select sex, mark, weight, height. So this set of questions, then you group them. You go to the group, the under 5 details. Can say. Okay. But you want this to repeat for as many children as in the household. So if there are 5 children, that number of times. So what you do here is you change the parameters to this, to roster. So you go to this same settings icon. When you go to the same setting icon for a group, there are only 2 settings, which is all group settings and then a skip logic. There's this thing called repeat this group if necessary. Okay, you click this. This will ensure that those question in that group is repeated if you need it to. All right, so let's see how that changes. So if you come to this section, which is list all under 5 children and their anthropometric measurements in the household, this is number 1. You see here it's written 1. So you'll be able to enter for the first child. And this color is a bit bluish, right? You see the color is sort of different. So this section of the question can be repeated many times as you want. So if this is James, when you're filling out, James is 18 months or 16 months, male. Mark is 12.8, for example. James is weighing 20 kgs. and height of 60 centimeters, 60.6. So this is the parameters of James, but there's also Paul, right? So you want to add, so you come to this. This adds another data collection window for another child. So you add this, then it starts again. This is Paul. Paul is 49 months, male, Mwak 14.7, okay, 24.7, height is like 80.9. Right. So this is for the second child. So you can keep adding as many as you want. So this is called a roster. So it's for repeating sort of individuals or whatever participants that you're collecting data for. Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to show is okay, super. Go ahead. Go for it.
Yes, Kamish, it's really getting interesting, and I see that there are still more interesting parts to come.
Right.
Let me speak like one of the participants, if I may. Is it possible for us to make this a three-part training so that, because I know we really came from very far, building a new form from scratch, and different um, ways of really putting this question, the different types of questions, that's probably a lot to assimilate. So if that's fine, if the colleagues would accept, I would personally feel if we can do a three-part training so that next week we continue from this and then we conclude before we then go to the more advanced part. Or next week we'll have part of the remaining of this and then the one of next week, and then in the last part we'll be concluding to ensure that we have ample time to also kind of digest this and practice somehow. I'm seeing the class more quiet. Happy to hear from colleagues.
Yeah, I was okay. Maybe we can pause once it is or to get some important things, and the lessons are good. What I wanted to ask is, I've not seen any open-ended kind of question here, and how do the responses behave in the tool, and like when you want to do analysis, what is the characteristics thereafter? I know you might want to delve deeper into this in the next session, but I feel I should ask it now, or if it is something that can fall within the basics that we are being taken through.
Okay. Yeah, I think for going through, we were left with a few, but I think we can yeah, we can pause and then continue from there. But on the Rumbek, your question, can you give an example of an open-ended question, for example? All depends on what you want as a researcher. I like what open
Like
example.
open-ended questions that demands a justification, a response in terms of justification from the respondent. Yeah.
Right.
Like yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So if, for example, you remember where we were asking, do you have a latrine? Do you have access to latrine? If they say no, and you probably want to explore further, like why they don't have
Correct.
access, something like that. If that's what you're meaning,
Yes.
then they need, because then there they need to give their own words and then you write it down. So that's the option for this in KoBo. You can exploit in text form. Then the numerator will be able to write, because probably like we don't have that or what, or we don't have the resources, or there's no space to construct one or something like that, they can be able to write as text. The option here is text. There are pros and cons for those, right? But all depends on you, and there are better ways to do that. As a researcher, you may want to dive into a mixed methods where you collect data using other methods, methodology, and not this. So the KoBo is very good for quant. Maybe that is something I didn't say at the beginning. So quantitative data collection. But when you now go into qualitative and all that, is not designed for that. So you need to go and do your focus group discussions, your key informant interviews. But if you want them to explain, sort of, you can pick those up by using text. But yeah, then I
Yes.
think, yeah, go ahead,
Yes.
Benjamin.
Can I also pick on that point? Like
Yes.
if you have open-ended questions, like suggested by my colleague, and is there a way that you can also try to control this in KoBo? Like you control it in a way that you list the challenges. Like, are there challenges that people face in communities in terms of access to water? And then you try to maybe come up with some suggestions that you think could be faced in the community. And then you enter this into KoBo so that if the respondent is saying that there are challenges that they face, and then you go through the list of the challenges, those that are mentioned by the respondent, you tick them.
Yeah,
That
that's
will
a
still answer
that,
the
yeah.
open-ended question.
Right, that's an approach that most researchers use. So you give options from your literature review. You probably would have done your lit review. You know from the similar settings or other settings that these are the commonest like causes or of whatever question you're asking. So you can list those based on your literature review, and you can then provide option of other. If there's anything outside of what you have listed, they can be able to mention. But yeah, that is one way of controlling that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for that.
Okay. I have
Yes,
also
Kina.
one more.
Yeah, go ahead. Is it Benjamin or Kai? Kai Moses, I think I'm seeing you on up here, the next one. Moses?
Yes, hello, chemist.
Hi, yes. Hi.
Thanks for sharing this knowledge. Mine is just a follow-up question on the criteria where you were using main sources of water, where you limit the options to 3. Is there a way, assuming like if you ask someone, if someone mentions that these are the main sources of water, then you also have an option of none. You find someone selects the none and is also selecting the main 3. Is there a possibility of controlling that? Thank you.
Yes, that is a bit advanced, so a lot of like thing, but it is there. Yes, we shall look at that as well. Yeah, it's there. That if you choose none, you cannot choose any other. Yeah, it's there. So I don't think like today is very basic, so I think we shall go into that in the upcoming training. Super. Kaina, Chris, if that is the right pronunciation of your word. Are your name?
My name
Go
is
ahead.
Kina, Chris.
All right, Kaina. Yes, go ahead, Kaina.
Thank you very much. And really, the session is really so interesting, and it's really very nice session. So I was having a suggestion, like what my colleague was saying, because it is really very important to some of us to know how to enter all the data in the KoBo and know how to control them. So I was suggesting if the time is limited like this, can it be recorded like the way you're presenting and share with us on our email so that sometime when we want to do that, we also go through that and do the follow-up there so that we can do the right thing. And then my second question was, because the way we are entering the data into KoBo, it seems like we know what we want. Some of them are closed-ended questions, like what some of my colleagues use, and we don't emphasize more on open-ended questions. So here, how do we control the enumerator the if like they have gone to the field and they go and they start somewhere and sit somewhere just to fill things on KoBo? Because I was seeing like after teaching them on what to do, some of them may have confidence to just go and they relax somewhere, they do their own research and send it. How do we recognize such kind of data on KoBo, which is just like is biased? So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kaina. That is a good question, and that is a problem that most researchers struggle with, and people have put in place different mechanisms to try and detect that and avoid. Yeah, so I think for KoBo, one of them is like using your GPS, and but some people have also told, you've noticed, you can use your GPS. You go to a household and take the GPS and not ask the question, then move to the next one, right? So like you do a combination of that, and you can look at the time spent per household asking the questions and whatnot. Yeah, and some people take pictures, like you have to document that you have gone to the household, take a picture of the household, upload to the cloud and whatnot. So there are many mechanisms, but that is a problem. Yeah, and it's a genuine concern. So I think it takes a mix of those approaches, but also you talking to the enumerators and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, one answer that solves the issue, but some options that people have we use and most researchers try to use to address the issue.
Yeah,
So
Kemish,
can,
if I could
can
also add on that,
Yeah.
you may find that we know that a questionnaire takes an average time, say maybe like 60 minutes, standard, and it might vary anywhere between 45 to, let's say, 75 minutes. Now, you can also keep an eye. You'll simply ask your data collectors to submit the data every day they go to the field, so that in the evening you as the research manager can run a quick data quality check. And should you find questionnaires that are filled out in, let's say, 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and then it should be very easy for you to flag that out and probably get in touch with that researcher as to what may have happened, that the questionnaire that you thought would be completed in 45 minutes simply got completed in like 15 minutes. So those are some additional measures that you can really put in place to check the quality of your data. Thank you.
Maybe, Kemish,
Yeah, Isaiah, go ahead.
I don't know if KoBo does it. There are some application where you can select a few questions within the tool that you can record. For example, if someone is asking, they record. So when you are doing the analysis, when you are uploading the data from the tool, then you're able to listen in how the enumerator was asking the question. That way you are able to know whether he was asking a respondent. There are some of such applications as well.
Right. Yeah,
Yes,
KoBo has voice.
yes,
Go ahead.
yes,
Yeah.
because I want to take us back because this one is most technical and very interesting. There is a first person who talk about the practical work because whenever we are following up, it is very interesting, but there are some of the complicated things. And this one, whenever you are putting the wrong answer, it will invalid the whole data. I request if the partners or either your company can organize with the partners so that each and every partner can contribute to make the 1 day or 2 days practical work. Then we handle the course. This is what I can see, because so that you cannot have a knowledge in just without practical work, because this is what I've seen from this part of training. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys. I see Benjamin. Last one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Good job.
for me, I appreciate the training, and I just wanted to comment on the points raised by my colleagues. I think the issue of GPS is very important, and also the time interval between the interviews. And this is one thing that was also done in some interviews, I think some years back, and one person decided to sit in one location and finished all the number of interviews he was supposed to conduct. But from the time taken to conduct each interview, the manager was able to detect that this person sat in one place. He didn't know that the GPS was already incorporated into KoBo. And then so it was the coordinate was already taken, and for him he could not realize it, and he was not paid for that. So if the enumerators are informed earlier about this, that please, if you do this, your payment will be depending on this, so they will be able to do quality work right from the beginning. But for some, they take it as an opportunity that they can sit in one place and then conduct the interviews, and that's all. So these are some of the measures that can be incorporated into KoBo to control the surveys. Thank you.
Actually, thank you, Kami, for this explanation. But actually, I ever use the ODK, if some of us are aware of it. It's also like KoBo for collecting data. But normally what happened, which was a challenge, is some enumerators are stubborn, like the way we were saying. But if we can add landmark sliding, whereby if you have given them the points to scatter to go to their various locations, you can use also the same GPS to follow them down to prove to yourself that they have reached there, and then add again some questions among the questions, whereby automatically when you are interviewing someone, it's a record, especially those one who use English. There are some participants and there are some clients who use English. It will also help you to understand that this person really did the interview to the right person, not to the ghost. So that's what I was like. If KoBo can have that, like ODK, the one I ever used, it had that. It have that. That's why they were controlling as it is. I don't know if in KoBo it's like that. We also need to know so that when we be entering our data in the system, we also set that. We inform them about that for quality assurance of the data. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. There are those where you can record voice, you can take image, and you can do GPS, you can monitor time intervals. So those are some of the quality criteria that you can build into KoBo. But still, as a researcher, I think as many of you have spoken, like you need to ensure that you train them, you need to supervise, and probably also like you need to have some mechanisms to do quick analysis to see patterns, right? So into the data as they collect data. So it's some real-time data analysis with quick feedback. But yeah, but there are those quality mechanisms that is you can build into KoBo. But then as a researcher also you need to be able to supervise them and see what they're doing as well. Thank you for sharing that experiences in terms of upholding quality of data and working with enumerators in the field. Appreciate. I think from my side, I would just ask everyone to probably we are doing the second session next weekend, I think, Sule. So maybe if
Yes.
everybody could go and just practice few things, and then next week we shall finish up a few things on this. I think we were almost done, but how do you then, after building your tool, how do you deploy it and monitor data collection, and manage your project? And I think we could then look at some of the more advanced features and then go at once at how do you manage a project and data. Probably that may be the approach I'll change. Then today we look at some simple how to build a tool and whatnot, skip logic and some quick validation. And then I think next week we can look at some of the advanced features. And then after that, how do you deploy? After you do that, how do you deploy your project? How do you share whatever links with the enumerators so that they're able to collect the data? And then how do you view the data and then manage that project? If you're working alone or you're working as a team, right? So how do you do that? You work together. So I think that we can then do next week, and hopefully we finish. But if not, then I think we can schedule a third sort of session. And I don't know, because for finishing this, we will provide the certificate. So I think it's very important that you attend all the three sessions to finish. Maybe I'll leave that to Sule, but thank you so much and for the engagement and the interest. And it's a pleasure to share people who are passionate about research and data and
So
share together, with the community. So
you end
not
you ending the meeting. I want to ask for something before.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Kemish. Colleagues, as Kemish has indicated, this is like a mathematics class. It might sound so interesting, but you'll only know that you don't know when you actually try doing it. I know that the class was quiet, all was very interesting. So I strongly encourage that you go and practice what you've learned already. If you already do not have the account, please open the account. Next week, we'll be picking up from right where we ended. Would be very happy to welcome questions, and then we'll be able to address them even on the things that we have handled already. As we indicated, we'll be giving out certificates, but that certification, we take it so seriously, and we want to ensure that we only give the certificates to those who have grasped the concept. As you may be aware, Juba Strategic Consulting, we do a lot of research across the country. So we might reach out to you one time to support us in one of our researches, and we definitely will take it so seriously, especially when we see you with our certificate. But also we want to ensure that you're able to actually do the job right. So kindly go open the accounts, practice, put down your questions. That would be our starting point next week. We kindly request that next week, let's be relatively flexible. We might go in again for 2 more hours. This is a very interactive session, so we don't want to restrict that much. But please also don't forget to put your details in the post survey training, because that is also the only way we will know that you attended the training today. And then also subsequently we'll be launching those surveys. I know that a lot of suggestions have come forward, including reaching out to NGOs to see how they can co-fund such trainings to build the capacity of staff. We appreciate those kind of suggestions, and we hope that in the future would consider such advocacies to see how indeed we can build the capacity of our local researchers within the country. With all that, Kemish, any closing remarks?
No, no.
It's
Thank you.
already in, so kindly register, please. Back to you, Kemish.
Sule, thanks. No, nothing, no addition from me. Thank you.
Okay. Colleagues, with all that, we thank you so much and we wish you the very best in your weekend. If you're an Arsenal fan, you probably don't want to break your leg going to watch the match because Liverpool has already taken the trophy.
Sure.
Okay, and but you can still go out with and
That is the reality.
and all that. Have a nice weekend.
I was a little bit disturbed by the internet, and I haven't gotten the time scheduled for next week. I don't know. Is it next week on which day that we're going to have the next session?
Saturday. We will send out emails. We will send out emails. So don't mind about that.
It will be next Saturday.
One point.
Yeah.
Will the video the recording be shared?
Yes, we will share all the materials at the end of the 2 or 3 sessions that we will conduct. All this will be put together and then we will share on your registered emails.
Yeah, but I also suggested if this could be shared before the next session so that we can also practice what we learned today. That would be appreciated.
Okay, on that, we will reach out accordingly on your registered emails, particularly for those who were able to attend today. We're very happy to share this and ensure that you come back when you're very prepared. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all for now. Continue being part of Juba Strategic Consulting as we build South Sudan together.
Thank you. Thank you, Sule. Thank you, Kemis, for the good training.
Thank you. We'll meet again next week.
Thank you so much for good presentation.
So much. The session has just been closed. Is there any other business? Already closed.